Here we are. Welcome to UTB Blogcast number 105. We're back after a short break with myself. We've got Blackberry Brad from Barry Reporter, and we have Roy from Barry IL. And we could have just called this the new Team Blackberry, as Brad was saying earlier.
Yeah, this is pretty much it. This is minus Art from Nerdberry. We have the full new Team Blackberry podcast crew here, which we haven't done one of those podcasts in a while. And I will put it right here on the show that we will be doing one of those shows.
Yeah, we need to. That was such a great idea, and we just kind of like. It's kind of hard when you're dealing with people all over the world and trying to get everybody together. I think we've been really lucky with the blogcast up till now to be able to get as many as we have.
Well, we'll make sure that it gets up there, but good to be here again.
Yeah,
welcome back.
I've been in a vacation for a few days, so it's good to be back.
Welcome back, Roy. Where did you go?
Warsaw, Poland.
Roy is the international man of mystery. He's all over the world.
Yeah.
Just like Blackberry is all over the world right now.
Yeah. Nice move there.
Yeah.
Where are you going with that, Brad?
Blackberry was in London this past week, and they had some pretty cool things to announce. They announced they actually hacked a car door and some other parts of the car too, which is really cool. Cool in one way and kind of scary in the other way, because if you think about it, all these autonomous cars nowadays that they're autonomous, which means they have software in them which could be hacked by anybody who knows what they're doing, unless it's a secure BlackBerry car and then it's secured by BlackBerry. So, not saying it can't be hacked, but chances are very low.
I think it's the only reason that we don't see any autonomous cars right now on the roads. That is the security issue. I think no country will let autonomous cars to drive on the roads before they will know that someone can secure them.
Security and the fact that we just don't trust them yet and don't want to die. Really.
Yeah. But car accidents are, I think, the number one cause for man death. So we don't trust
something like that.
Since it's already number one, let's just increase that number.
Yeah, we don't trust humans either.
Oh man, I am not keen on autonomous cars. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not.
Hey man, I can't wait for the day that I can tell my car to drive me around places.
Yeah.
Okay.
BlackBerry largely.
I know where you're coming from, Brad. They're gonna say, your car can drive itself. Go ahead and be drunk all the time. That's fine.
Are you insisting that I'm just gonna be drunk all the time when I tell it to do that?
I'm just thinking anybody that's super excited about autonomous cars are super excited for one reason, and that's getting somewhere while you're drunk.
I just want to use my BlackBerry when I'm driving. That's all. I need to reply to emails and such. I can't do it now.
That's what physical keyboards are for. I don't need my car to drive me. Oh wait, I didn't say that out loud.
Yeah, but I'm trying to be a good driver. Plus, my Android Auto won't let me do that, so without being annoying.
You can talk to it though.
You can, but I don't really like the whole voice typing stuff. It's just if I'm gonna put up a message, I'd rather just type it out when I can. It's usually not that urgent.
I have used the voice stuff while I'm driving, and I gotta tell you, I'm getting really impressed with it. I mean, it's gotten really good. It's not like it used to be. Used to, I couldn't get anything to understand me. Now everything understands me, more so than the guy standing next to me at the market.
Oh, voice to text?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's fine. It's not the communication method that I prefer.
So what happens when we're all just
Hey, how
wearing,
are you? Period.
AR goggles and all that we do is speak and hear?
Yeah.
And if we talked about London, BlackBerry just launched a new cybersecurity consulting service for the European Union. There is new laws in the European Union that will take effect on, I think, May next year, something like this. And to comply to those rules, BlackBerry will help companies. It's a cybersecurity rule, so BlackBerry will help those companies to comply and will give them autonomous car consulting services.
Which, if you recall, when those laws first came out, not when they were started, but when they first came out and were announced, BlackBerry said right at that point that they were already in compliance with them. So, I mean, who better to lead others into compliance than the company that was already there all along, right?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense for BlackBerry to do it, and also the other services they're offering is a cybersecurity consultant service for autonomous cars, which again makes more sense, a lot of sense as well, because BlackBerry's been pretty much the company taking on this cybersecurity portion of autonomous cars head on. Sense for companies to go to BlackBerry for consulting help with this, and BlackBerry makes money, and autonomous cars stay safer.
And Europeans will drive drunk with autonomous cars in a few years.
I think
thanks to BlackBerry.
I think Europeans, North Americans, I think Canadians, even UTB Brad will drive drunk while driving autonomous cars. Yes, it's great news for over in New York to see BlackBerry is doing these consulting services. Really to do so.
Well, let's get back on our list that we never started on, and because we've been gone for a couple weeks, and in that time, BBM had a problem and fixed the problem, right? There's a few people that found themselves locked out of their BBM accounts. We know now who those people were and what the reason behind it was, and now it's fixed, but there may still be people out there that haven't got fixed, right? And BlackBerry contacted everyone and asked us to get out the word to those people that if they're still affected, to have them contact BlackBerry so that they can get them fixed. Or BBM Imtech actually was the ones that were wanting that information. But it comes down to a database split, right? And it was the people that had previously been on or tried BlackBerry Protect or BBM Enterprise, and they found themselves put into the wrong group of databases.
Yeah.
So it was a problem. It was definitely an issue. It was really frustrating for some people because there's really no warning, no explanation. There's a lot of people that thought that this was another move by BBM that was intended. And now suddenly people were going to lose everything. And, what happens to my channel? What happens to this? I know I got invited and pulled into a BBM group that was essentially just people griping about it, right? And it's like, look, this is being fixed. We know this is being fixed. They're working on it right now. Calm down. And there's a whole bunch of frustration because everything that these people were doing to try and fix it wasn't working. And it's like, you know what? This is something that you're not going to be able to fix by restarting your phone or whatnot. So it's all good now. Everyone is fixed, guys?
Yeah. I know Shlomi had this issue, and then I invited to this group, this whining group, and I think after one day they fixed it.
Yeah.
Something like this. It took 24 hours.
Were you in that group too, Roy?
Yeah, but I left very quick because I don't like to hear everyone complain. There was a reason to complain, but
yeah, there's a glitch.
Too much for me. And
there's definitely a glitch.
And I'm a friend with some of these people in other groups, so I don't need to be with the same people in too many groups.
Yeah. So
you're Yeah, go ahead, Brad. We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you.
So yeah, the whole login issue was kind of a crazy concept because if I think about it, if it happened to me, I'll be freaked out too because I know I've had the same BBM account for since when, but lose for the lose all the contacts and the 5 BBM channels that I manage 2 of. It'd be kind of crazy to just to lose all that stuff, but it's good to see BBM was quick about getting it fixed. It was pretty quick as a turnaround time. Scary situation. They were kind of locked out of their channels, especially the people that update their channels every day. Some weren't able to do so from their BlackBerry device. So issue going on with BBM right now, though. It's on iOS side of everything. Not that we really talk too much about iOS on this side of the show, but it has their notification system set up now is affecting BBM to the point where if I send a message to someone that has an iPhone with BBM on it, they might not always get that notification right away that they have a message waiting for them. If you're trying to communicate with somebody in an instant messaging client, you want that person to be notified that, right? But so if I send a message, I'll just get a check mark on my end, be in there waiting for them, but they have to open up BBM to get that message. BBM's aware of that one too. That one's kind of more of let's try to figure out what Apple messed up on their end. They're taking reports, usage reports in BBM. If you're having that issue, go ahead and just go to the Me tab and hit report a bug, and that will help investigate that one a little bit better.
That's kind of something that happened when cross-platform BBM first came out on iOS. That was an original issue on iOS, and it was because iOS was kind of not allowing them to the processes that they needed in order for that to happen. But yeah, I guess that was something that was fixed along the line, and to see it rear its dirty little head again.
Yeah, my girlfriend uses an iPhone, and we run into this issue.
Get a new one. Get a new one.
We run into this issue all the time with me BBMing her. I mean, I forced her to use BBM. That's the only thing I'll use. So the fact that she's using BBM, I don't care. But I ran into this issue with her before when the issue was first originated. Then they fixed it to the point where if it happened every right. Now it's happening almost every day or every other day to the point where I'll message her something in the morning, and then she won't get a notification till she opens up. And if she has a busy day, that's not till in the day. So it's kind of a crazy situation. I mean, it's definitely something on iOS side of everything, but to go figure out why it's not working properly.
That is frustrating. In all honesty, I've got my my mother of all people on a DTEC 50, and she's been having some issues getting notifications. And I've been, it's like I get a call, hey, can you come over and look at my phone? And I keep going, and every time I go over, sure enough, because it's like it's my folks. I understand, they're not technologically advanced. They're not really fans of BlackBerry because of the playbook. My dad bought a couple of them, and he wants nothing that says BlackBerry in his house at this point. But I've got my mom on a DTEC 50 now, so I'm halfway there. But I go over there, and sure enough, like the notifications aren't coming through on the DTEC 50, and it's for BBMs and for text messages. And every time I go over, like I look, and she's not closing out her old apps. So you hit the little square, and there's 50 apps open, and a lot of them I don't even think she ever touches. She's probably just randomly hitting these apps and leaving them open. And you clear all the apps, you do a restart on the phone, and it starts. So I'm convinced there's some sort of app conflict going on with one of these other apps. I've got it narrowed down to a few that it might be. But it's like it's really frustrating when it's not your phone, it's not in your hand. You can't really check, so you're just going to look when there's an issue, and you don't know when it started, and you don't know, what you can do to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, when we think of BBM, or if you think of the old school BBM, it was an instant notification, right? If I sent somebody a message on BBM,
did Brad freeze?
What?
Yeah, I think you froze a little bit.
Oh, so if you think back to the old BBM days, right? Let's just take the cross-platform stuff out of the way. If you think about old BBM days with old BlackBerry devices, those messages went through very instantly, right? I would send a message to somebody, and 2 seconds later, they got a notification, the message got sent to them. So now, if we fast forward to now, people are missing notifications. That kind of kills the whole concept of BBM and what BBM is known for. It's known for that instant notification, instant receiving of a message, where, if you think about the old days when it was old school BBM versus old school WhatsApp, BBM killed WhatsApp in the whole speed and reliability portion of everything, and if BBM's going to start having these issues like this, and I know part of it is iOS's end, it's on Apple's end, so Apple sucks, right? We all know that, but if they're going to have these notification issues and not know about them until users start saying things about them, kind of worries me some point a little bit, but not enough to stop using BBM or anything like that. But it's kind of hopefully they kind of come back around and start fixing these issues like this.
Well, see, that's part of my frustration, because you kind of touched on it right there, and yeah, that's exactly what BBM's always been: reliable. It's always been reliable. And you look at how long BBM's been around. It's been around longer than every one of these other mobile messaging platforms now. It just has. Nothing else has the longevity that BBM does. Now, what is it? The number one chat app in the world, right? Based on market share, WhatsApp. Goes down all the time. I think it's gotten better, but it's always had reliability issues, always. It's way behind in functionality. It's still playing catch up with BBM, which honestly, I mean, BBM kind of got, how would you put it? It kind of got put on the back burner for a while. Now it's playing catch up to where it really should be. And they're rushing, and BlackBerry BBM Tech is doing amazing things to get it up to where it should be. But for a while there, it was put on the back burner. We know that. But it's always been reliable. And you look at these issues, like we had this last issue with the login, affected some users. We know why. We know what happened. It's fixed now. There's like no forgiveness from users. It's immediately, it's going to kill BBM. It's going to push everybody off. Let's all go over to Telegram. Never mind the fact that Telegram had 2 major outages in 6 days, right? Where you just lost the entire Asian subcontinent. And it's like, it's complete forgiveness for WhatsApp, complete forgiveness for Telegram. It's no big deal that, an entire area of the world can't be contacted in Telegram. But, oh, man, there's a few people that can't get to their channel on BBM. We all better run off of it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
That's exactly what I wanted to say in other words, but
unfortunately,
with our community, and we said it before a few times. It's not just with BBM, it's with everything BlackBerry did, or BBM MTech, or anything related to BlackBerry.
Yeah, BlackBerry fans are the best complainers out there. Say that. It's they, you know, there's points when they have every right to complain, and I get asked this question a lot. Sometimes I get called a fanboy for not, complaining about things that BlackBerry does, but it's an issue, whatever, but
I think he freezed a little bit.
Yep. Whenever there's an issue with BBM or BlackBerry mobile devices, or the whole screen falling off issue, right? Everyone started freaking out because some small percentage of users started having devices with their screen falling off. I was one of them, right? I went through 2 BlackBerry Key 1s that had defective portions to them. On Twitter and rant and rave about it. I know things like this happen. Look at the Google Pixel 2, right? Screen burning issues. Come on, especially for a $1,000 phone, you're having screen burning issues or having, crazy issues with that device. It's a great device. It's getting great reviews besides the issues that are plaguing it. Same thing with the Key 1, right? The Key 1 got great reviews. This is probably one of the first BlackBerry devices to get as good of reviews as it has. All that out issue. And people were like, some people started flipping out, but the reviewers stayed the same. So,
and Brad is just in and out of here.
Huh?
You just go silent every now and then.
Yeah, it's probably my internet connection. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, continuing on with what you're saying, because you did mention the whole fanboy thing, and I get that a lot. I mean, I think that's my middle name sometimes is, fanboy, Brad Fanboy. There you go. Maybe both of us have the same problem. Other Brad Fanboy. But it's like, people are like, you're always, defending BlackBerry. And it's like, well, you know what? Let's be consistent about things. BlackBerry has been here since the beginning of smartphones. You can count how many issues like this they've had. They had the storm, which was bad. They had the playbook that really was delivered
half-baked.
We had screen lift on the Passport. We had screen fallout on the Key 1. Were there really any other major issues in there? I can't really think of any.
One BBM major outage.
And what was that? 2011, I think.
2011.
Just
yeah.
BBM
and I mean, it was a huge BBM outage that BlackBerry had to put out money to resolve, to pay off people that were financially damaged by this.
Yeah, they didn't tell the users that using BBM wrong or something like our company.
Right. Look how many issues Apple has, release after release after release. Look how many issues Telegram has had in its very short lifetime. Look how many issues WhatsApp has that, I mean, it's just continuous. And I think it's because they're more focused on giving Facebook all their data than getting a reliable communication tool. But it's like, you need to be consistent in your complaints, because all the iPhone users that are getting rammed every update and every iOS update, the WhatsApp users that don't know if their messages are going to go through in case of an emergency, Telegram that only sometimes realizes that there's an Asian area of the world. It's like people aren't rushing to Twitter and rushing to Facebook and creating groups to complain about this stuff for anybody else but BlackBerry.
I mean, if you look at iOS 11 just recently relaunched, right? 3 days after it launched, iOS 11, the official update, Apple had to put out another patch update because anyone who used their iPhone for business use or a Microsoft Exchange account couldn't use Microsoft Exchange on their iPhone. Like, how does Apple miss that? Like, Apple is such a company that it's trying. let their users use Microsoft Exchange, one of the most, probably the biggest exchange servers out there, right? How does Apple mess it up? But we heard nothing about it, right?
Yeah, because it's everybody apologizes for it. Everybody's okay with it, but they're not being called fanboys. Only the people that are standing up for BlackBerry's. And I mean, yes, there are failures, but they're few and far between. I mean, you look at the records on these companies, BlackBerry is heads and shoulders above everybody else. And I got to say, membership in our chat, BlackBerry's greatest failure that we totally missed, and it's BlackBerry failed at going out of business. That's brilliant membership. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't gone out of business. They tried to do it.
The first thing that you heard after every iOS update is don't update. Wait for a patch.
Yeah.
So
wait for the next update to come out. Update your phone to further update. Apple is actually the only company that operating system that enterprise IT departments tell their users to hold off on updating until they make sure it works okay with their phones. Don't hear that about Android updates. You don't hear that about BlackBerry 10 updates. So I mean, it's just, but no one scratches. And I think a lot of it comes down to the issues that let's go. Some of the issues that BlackBerry has is that it's more of BlackBerry things type of an issue, right? If you look at the Storm, right? The Storm was the first device to come out, first touchscreen device technically to come out, right? If you look at the Playbook, right? Playbook was a failed attempt in some people's mind. In my mind, it was a great idea. I love my Playbook. But the Storm, was it a good device? No. If you use the Storm 2, it was a better device than the Storm 1. So I think a lot of the things that BlackBerry fails at or has issues with, the BBM stuff really wasn't. The recent BBM stuff is more of, oops, we forgot to do something, right? Or we did something wrong.
The Storm was failed because I think Verizon rushed BlackBerry to release a touch device that will compete with the iPhone.
That's exactly what happened.
Released with AT&T. So
attempt, right?
When you rush to do things, you will fail.
Yeah, and the Playbook was rushed at the same time. It was rushed to get out.
And so, I mean, the things that Apple failed, that it's just things that
I think red internet connection is.
I think he needs to cut what he's saying down to shorter segments, because I think when he speaks in longer segments, it's got a buffer.
Yeah, pretty much. I was pretty much
having Brad on the blogcast is like watching the old naughty videos on the old dial-up modems. Just like, you know what I mean? Saying buffer. Maybe not.
I think I'm better off driving during my show.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's get somewhat back on track, because we did talk about
never.
Yeah, we talked about the BBM issue. Let's talk about the BBM update. We got another fairly large BBM update.
Everybody will share their favorite wallpaper color on BBM.
What if Wayno was actually on the blogcast instead of chat? He'd be extremely angry. So go ahead, Brad. What's your color?
I just went with the color. I personally, I probably am like the only person out there that didn't care about the wallpaper. I don't pay attention to the wallpaper on my BBM chat.
Neither do
Back
I.
there, I ignore it.
So what's your color, buddy?
Whatever. It's like gray or whatever.
Okay. Roy?
I'm
orange like your shirt?
So I think it's green. I think my
Green, okay.
wallpaper is green.
Tried the gray. I tried the blue. I'm back to the little drawings on my background.
Can you see my background? That's the color of the background that I have.
Okay, it's
I don't
nice.
know. Yeah.
I've still got the little. I got the sparks in my BBM. That's what I got. The one that Wayno hated so bad. This is horrible that they did this. Blah blah blah. Well, I'm still using it, and it's after I tried the other colors. I went back.
And we had BBM wallpapers on BlackBerry 10, so it's not that new. It's
right.
Just weird that it came too late, or
I don't think it came too late. I think it was coming on time. It was just people got all butthurt about it.
I thought that the wallpapers may be released on the original BBM format for Android when BlackBerry released it, because we already had it on BB10.
Yeah, but I think when they released it on BB10, it kind of died immediately. There was, 5 colors. We expected more would be coming, and nothing ever came.
I think nothing ever came after that for BBM for the BlackBerry 10. Not just the wallpapers. But it will be nice if they will add the way to customize your own pictures as wallpapers, on BBM.
Yeah, I know that
people use it.
Aaron just said it in chat right now. People are doing that by messing with the APK, something that I wouldn't do, but people are doing that. So yeah. So anything else on the BBM update? They changed the Discover tab.
Yeah, they do it every update. Change it.
No, but I mean they changed the design of it.
Yeah.
Not just what's in there, but the actual design. And again, to me, this is where I get a little frustrated with the little minimalist black and white. It just looks like an iPhone to me, and that's what I don't want. I don't want my favorite app to look like an iPhone app, and I've said that a few times. I'm kind of like a broken record saying it. So, I mean, even BlackBerry gave me the option to use BBOS 7 and BB10 icons on my BlackBerry Android.
And if you look as a graphic designer, I asked my wife for that. This is how logos should be designed. So,
yeah.
Professionally, it's looking good.
But that's how it should be designed for who?
For everyone.
No, I don't agree. That's how it should be designed for Apple. I mean, honestly, if you look at there's certain design elements, like on Android, your dialog box is square. On Apple, it's round. On BBM, it's round. Bring back the square.
Bring back me.
Are you here? Is everything better now?
I think. I don't know. We'll find out in a couple minutes here.
I'm kind of excited. We just finally got another company that's offering internet here in my tiny little town. So maybe on the next Blogcast, I will be a little clearer and less choppy, and people are going to really wish they could go back to the days that I was fuzzy and you couldn't really see me.
We have a new internet service in Israel. Not all the cities are compatible for this, and this is internet service that based on your electricity and not the regular internet that we use so you can reach to 1,000 megas of download and around 800 megas of download. So I'm pretty sure it's one of the most fastest internet services around the globe. And I'm checking to do that.
So I'll just start emailing you my videos so you can upload them to YouTube so they'll go faster.
It will be very fast.
Yeah, well, we have I was gonna say we have Verizon Fios in my area, or we use Verizon Fios here, and they're starting to offer us a gigabyte of uploads or download speeds. So 1 gig per second, pretty much. Which I don't. My issue here is not a it is a speed thing, but it's more of a distance thing as well. So
someone on the chat, Brian Deeb, wants us to speak about BlackBerry 10.
But we're not there yet.
Brian asked me to talk about the same thing last night on my podcast.
Really? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump the shark, Brian Deeb, and let's talk about the leaked. I guess you'd say leaked. Is it leaked? It's not official. It wasn't.
It's not.
No, it wasn't official, but it's been sitting on BlackBerry servers since July of this year.
Right,
which
July.
I mean, they were getting ready to, or they were thinking about rolling it out. But the funny thing is that what I mentioned last night is we would get 2 updates for BlackBerry 10, right? We 10.3.3 and then 10.3.4 or whatever. We got this random one floating on the BlackBerry servers, and people found it. And BlackBerry didn't take it down or anything. It's still up. Yeah. If you want to go download it, they have at it. Which means either they don't care about it, or that us having it, or they meant for us to have it, and they're just like, well, have at it, whatever. But loaded it on my BlackBerry 10 devices yet. I just haven't had time to sit down and load up the autoloaders, but I haven't heard anything crazy. It's the fact that it's an update is probably the biggest news.
Yeah, I haven't put it on anything. I haven't tried it. I haven't heard anything new. In fact, I've heard people looking for something new and not finding anything new.
Yeah.
You know someone.
I mean, at this point.
What's that, Roy?
You know someone that installed the new update.
Yeah, Robert did.
Oh, Robert, and he didn't find anything.
Well, of course. Nothing that he said in group.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't any type of security update that they're pushed out because July was too early for any of this ransomware stuff to happen, right? When did the ransomware? Right. The first ransomware wasn't until before July, right? It was like early year. So it wasn't a thing to that. It wasn't anything to the Bluetooth exploit stuff or the Wi-Fi stuff. So I think it was just, I don't know, an update to get them ready for the next big one. Or I don't think it was an update that was supposed to see light of day. And I think
it's probably just a production build. There's probably something in the background there that changed that nothing that we would notice. And like you said, it wouldn't be anything security related for any of our modern issues since it has been there for so long.
And I want to kind of put the disclaimer out. Don't get excited because it's an update. I mean, get excited because it's an update, but don't think that it's, BlackBerry's ring, BlackBerry 10, BlackBerry. I mean,
yeah, it was not. It's not anything.
It's not going to be anything new, or anything like that. It's just an update ready for something.
And it wasn't purposely released. And in the chat, Brian said that he's waiting for the official OTA because he doesn't do autoloaders. And it's like, I would not expect that as an OTA. I have a feeling if BlackBerry does end up doing an actual official update, it'll be big news. It won't be something that's discovered on just sitting on their servers like that.
Yeah.
And this definitely will not see an OTA update. So if you want it, Brian, You don't have to do an autoloader. You can do a blitz file. You can jump into our forums, grab Dick Lewis. He can explain to you how to do it step by step.
Yeah.
We've got the blitz file on our site, I believe, so you don't have to start fresh, and it's really easy. It's easy enough that I can do it.
I'll say this: the BlackBerry 10 updates this year.
You think so?
I don't think we'll see one this year.
I honestly, I'm beginning to wonder if we will. I think if we were going to see one, we would have seen it already.
No, I'm saying we're not going to see one.
Right. And I'm just saying, not just this year. I'm just saying, again.
I think we'll see something next year.
You think so?
I'm surprised.
I have faith that we'll see something next year.
There is an update from July, so I know nobody really works on BlackBerry 10 in BlackBerry. There are no
the fact
BlackBerry
that there's something on the
engineers.
server. The fact that there's something on the server from July, I mean, that gives me faith that there's something else coming down the pipeline.
Maybe it's an update they just forgot to release a few months ago or earlier, and they just put it on service. So
did the last update not go well? That they pulled it?
Yeah. They pulled it for certain devices, yeah.
So maybe this is them releasing that pull OS update.
Oh, maybe. Maybe this was their fix, but
it's their fix.
I mean, I just can't help but wonder if there's just not enough interest. You know what I mean? I honestly think that when BlackBerry went Android, they thought that their corporate customers would remain on BB10. There'd be a reason to continue on with BB10 software updates. And I have a very strong feeling that a lot of those corporate customers did not stick on. I have a very strong feeling they moved on to either BlackBerry, Android, or other devices altogether, in which case the demand for those updates just went out the window.
Yeah, I think the enterprise customers weren't demanding those updates. I think the consumers are demanding those updates, and that's unfortunately, there's no interest inside BlackBerry for them to push out many more updates. There's interest outside of BlackBerry, of course, because we still have our diehard BlackBerry 10 fans, and by all means, if you're a BlackBerry 10 fan, nothing wrong with that. But I don't think there's interest inside BlackBerry anymore to push out more updates. I do believe that BlackBerry will stay true to its word that there was 2 updates, and we only got one update, one major update, and I think there's one more, and I have faith that BlackBerry will push out that second update. So
I don't think it's not that there's any interest within BlackBerry, because I mean, I know a lot of BlackBerry people are still, I mean, I'm speaking internal BlackBerry people still using BB10 devices. I think there's interest there. I just don't think there's commercial interest. I don't think there's any money in it for them. And that's sad.
Money is the interest of everything,
right?
BlackBerry, no question about that. It's that they don't see any profitable reason to send out an update.
So I hope we appeased Brian between the UTB Blogcast and the Berry Report.
Yeah, hopefully. Though the fact that he asked it on here makes me wonder if I pleased him on my show last night.
Oh, well, we'll hit up Blaze and see if he hits up the Crackberry podcast next. And
yeah, because
I gave him Crackberry heads or.
I gave him the same answer. I gave him the same answer last night. So, and I'm here too. So, you got the same answer twice in 2 nights.
Brian is dedicated.
He is.
Brian doesn't take no for an answer.
No, I mean
this would be a place to make a Weinstein joke, but that's not politically correct anymore. Okay, so none of us have the BlackBerry Motion yet, although Roy is going to have his hands on one before either of the Brads. And both of the Brads are angry.
Promising, but it probably will happen next week.
Unless I fly over to the airport in the next 24 to 48 hours, but My schedule doesn't allow that, so.
Yeah, my wallet doesn't allow that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of new things on the BlackBerry Motion software related that I'm kind of excited about, right? Because I mean, I am a physical keyboard guy, and I hear, hey, there's a full touchscreen BlackBerry phone coming out. My initial thought is I'm sticking on the Key 1, right? Because you look at the specs, you look at the phone, it's like, okay, it'd be kind of nice to have something that's, splash proof, be kind of nice to have something that's dust proof, but I'm not giving up my keyboard. Couple of software tricks that have me really excited, and one of them is the locker to hide your photos that you don't want the world seeing, right?
Make it photos.
Photos and documents.
Yeah, photos and documents that you want to keep hidden, which is great. It's I mean, there's plenty of third-party apps out there that do that sort of thing already, but to have it built into the phone and the way it seems to work. Huh?
You don't trust those apps because maybe they you're keeping those photos and documents, keeping them secret, but not from the third-party developers that may have an access to your old files.
Yep.
But when BlackBerry an app, I think you trust them for 100%.
Yeah, I do for sure.
Yeah, and the way it's.
But what I find kind of interesting, I heard that taking a picture, you can kind of determine where that picture is going to go, depending on how you take the photo, right? If you use the shutter button, it goes where your photos normally go. If you use the fingerprint sensor to snap the photo, it goes into the locker.
Correct. And that's the very interesting portion of that, because if you look at the other third-party photo or document or app or media applications, you have to put those media, you have to take the photo or have the file download onto your device and then go into the third-party app, select it to go into the third-party app, and then it moves itself into the third-party app. BlackBerry Locker, you take your photo with the fingerprint sensor, it sends it already to the BlackBerry Locker, and it password protects it and doesn't sync to a cloud. Most of these third-party apps that do the same thing have their own cloud storage system to it, that you get, whatever storage amount space that they give you. BlackBerry does it automatically, doesn't back up to the cloud. It saves it somewhere onto the device, which makes me wonder if you can switch that to internal memory or external memory, but that's a different, thing to kind of look into. But it's a really great concept for the BlackBerry Motion. I do know a lot of people are wondering if we see this hit other BlackBerry devices like the Q1 and the Priv or DTEX series devices, to see if that happens too. I think the Q1, if anybody, would get it, but it gives you a nice reason to buy a Motion, right?
Yeah, I personally don't think we will see it on a Key 1 until it's old news on the Motion. I do kind of hope it shows up on the Key 1s, because I just think those are, I think that's genius. I really do. I mean, they took something that, again, there are third-party apps that do this, and they added a measure of convenience to it that those other apps don't have. And that's, BlackBerry's so great at that. They think things ahead that way. Mm-hmm. I think that's totally something that we should have expected from BlackBerry, and something I would have never thought of on my own.
Yeah, I like I said, I love the how it's how you can use it. So you take the photo with the shutter, it goes to your normal photo space. If you take up the fingerprint sensor, it goes to your BlackBerry Locker. It's such a really cool concept, and it's not something that, if you're letting your friend use your phone, right, and they're using it to take a photo of you, like say for instance you're out with your friends or whatever, you ask some stranger to take a photo of you with your phone, right? You don't have to worry about them accidentally hitting that secure locker button, going to know to hit the fingerprint sensor. And 2, you don't have to worry about anybody getting access to photos or documents you don't want to have, locker without having your fingerprint on to the device. Encrypted like anything BlackBerry is. So,
and then other than that, there's also the smart convenience key, which is what I want really bad, because I do change. I have been changing what my convenience key is. There's certain times I want my convenience key to do this. There's other times I want it to do that. And it's not something that I change every day or every situation, but there's been several times I've gone in and just changed what my convenience key is. And yes, I know that you could just do a shortcut on one of your keyboards, but that convenience key is more convenient to me than a keyboard shortcut. I love the convenience key. But the smart convenience key, you can have what I've seen on the images anyway, 3 different things on that convenience key, right?
Yeah, so instead of me having to figure out if I want to use Google Voice on my convenience key or Privacy Shade, I can use both and a third application as well. That, I love keyboard shortcuts. I have, for instance, I have P set to my Privacy Shade. I have F to my flashlight, but the convenience key is more of a option than the keyboard shortcuts, I think, because from what I've been using, the convenience key you can hit from any screen, where on the keyboard shortcuts I can't do from any screen. I have to be. So if I hit, if I'm on Google Chrome checking out a website or something like that, and I hit the convenience key, the Privacy Shade will come up if I'm using it. That's where it becomes very useful for something like Privacy Shade, because if I'm Privacy Shade, I have to have that open to an app that I want to use it with. I haven't said if you use it as a keyboard shortcut.
So I saw on BB10 Q&A something, I think, German site with our friend Ben. He stopped the motion video on the app drawer caption, and he saw an app that is a file manager app, but we don't know if it's something that came from BlackBerry or just for the video that BlackBerry Mobile made and someone installed a file manager on the device. So we could see a file manager in the near future for BlackBerry Android.
Well, if you recall, that one UI designer's portfolio that she posted online and then begged us to take the images off of our site, it had a file manager within those ideas.
Yeah.
And I know that the file manager has been rumored for some time. I know there's a lot of longtime BlackBerry users that really want BlackBerry to bring the BB10 file manager to BlackBerry Android. I don't think that's what's going to happen at all, but I fully expect to see a file manager.
Which is very weird if you remember back to, I don't remember what episode something of the Bear Report with Michael Cluley, where we had him on there. We asked him about the apps like File Manager, and his pretty much response was BlackBerry really wasn't into the idea of putting out applications that were already found in Google Play. That's why you didn't see a File Manager app for so long, because there's been there's tons of, if you go look in Google Play and type in File Manager, you're going to find a few different applications for File Manager in there, and they don't want to really duplicate some of those applications, and they want they give respect to the developers of Android and don't want to try to take away apps from it. But I think one, there's a demand for it for a File Manager app, and two, I think BlackBerry has seen the success they're having with other apps that they're making for Android, and I think they just
Yeah, and I can't recall if it was Cluley on your Berry Report podcast, or if it was Alex Thurber on the Blogcast, but someone had asked some about the file manager, and it was one of those, oh, that's good to know, I'll take that back, right? So it was like leaving the door open that, made it a point that we would like to see that, and they seemed pretty open to taking that idea back. But again, I don't think it's going to be the BB10 file manager because in all honesty, it would not be competitive in Android world because file managers within Android, modern file managers just do a whole lot more than the BlackBerry 10 file manager did. But at the same time, where the BlackBerry 10 file manager really stood out was its integration to the operating system, right? That was your file picker. And Android apps, we don't really use a file manager for that aspect. There is an inbuilt file picker that apps call on to grab the files that you need. If you're going in and editing a photo, whatever, and you're picking a photo, it's not defaulting to a file manager to grab that photo. There's a file picker for that. So, I mean, honestly, within Android, file managers have a different set of needs and a different set of rules than what it did on BlackBerry 10. BlackBerry 10 was amazing the way that the file manager worked with the operating system. You're not going to get that level of integration with Android. And a file manager really is to manage files on Android. It's not used to pick files within an app. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think that BlackBerry will make a new app only if they see an extra mile that they can add to the user. If not, they will just tell you to use what's already on the Play Store.
I can think right now of what BlackBerry could add that would be great. And it's one of those functions that Android file managers have. A lot of them, or at least the popular ones do, is that what do you call it? Your remote desktop. Help me out, guys. My brain just stopped working. Your remote file access, right? And if BlackBerry could bring the BlackBerry security to that, it would be a lot nicer.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, most file managers in Android have that aspect. It may be something that's a paid option for some of them. I think File Commander, it's a paid option. But they all have that aspect where you can get the remote file access with your computer at home through your file manager app. But who knows what level of security that is?
Yeah. I think if you took the BlackBerry 10 file manager and added some of these features to it, then it's a different game with that BlackBerry 10 file manager, because everyone loves, I should say everyone, every BlackBerry 10 former user loved the file managing system of BlackBerry 10. Now, you can't get it to do the file picker like you were saying, but you could do, for instance, I use Astro File Manager on Android, right? It's nice because it gives me access to Google Drive, OneDrive, any type of my cloud storage applications to it. You throw those functions into BlackBerry 10 File Manager. You throw the remote file access manager, throw the security BlackBerry into it. You have a pretty cool looking file manager application from BlackBerry, and it's definitely one of those things that BlackBerry Android users have been wanting, especially if they're coming from BlackBerry 10. And I think that even if they're not coming from BlackBerry 10, it's something that they want. File managers are great to have on an OS platform. If you look, even Apple just got around to putting a file manager on iOS 11, which is funny, but I think they're a must-have in any platform. And the fact that Android has tons of them that are really great in the Play Store. Some are worth paying for, some are not worth paying for. But if I could get BlackBerry 10 file manager with some of those cool features, I'd be a happy camper.
Agree?
Don't all agree at once now. Come on.
You have 2 yeses.
2 yeses.
Yes.
Yeah. We move to the next round.
All right. Next round, please.
Next round, John Chin would break BlackBerry's encryption if needed.
He will try to break.
He will try to.
Yeah.
Well, he won't. I think he'll have a bunch of software people,
engineers
try to do so.
Yeah.
He'll probably just sit in his office and watch him via his webcam.
I think John Chen is an engineer himself, so I think he can try if he wants. That's
all right.
fun.
I know I kind of asked Brad to put this into the topic list because I kind of touched base on it last night, and it, UTB Brad wanted to talk about it anyways, but it's one of those things where I think people are reading this article a little bit wrong, and I think they're missing the point of you would do so, but just because he said they can they can try to do so, but just because they can try doesn't mean they can do it. He also stated, talked about how it's very hard to break the encryption of BlackBerry. He doesn't even think that they can do so. So I think it was more of one of those kind of statements where big statement, but it's like kind of one of those statements where we'll do it if we could.
I take it totally different, and I take it totally different because John Chen has been very upfront about his stance on this from, I would say from the beginning, but it's not from the beginning, but it's since Apple stood up to the FBI and Congress. John Chen has been very clear on BlackBerry's stance on this, and it really comes down to being a good neighbor, right? It's looking at the reasons behind it. It's looking at, we'll go back to the thing that started this all off. A dead terrorist phone that had murdered people, who the phone didn't belong to the terrorist anyway. It belonged to his employer, which the employer, the FBI, the police, the victims of the terrorist all said, open up this phone, and Apple said no, right? And BlackBerry and John Chen said at that point that, you need to be a good neighbor, and they would be a good neighbor. All these companies have complied with FBI requests in the past. Every single one of them, Facebook, Apple, all the ones that they're saying that they're not going to do it now, they've all done it. I wrote my post about this. I think, whereas you're saying you're taking that it's going to be difficult to do, is an implication that, BlackBerry's going to come back and say, we can't do it. I think it's more an implication of we haven't done it, right? But I think it's a willingness that, obviously they're not going to put in a backdoor. They're not going to say, here, government, you can read what these people are saying, because they've not done that twice before with India and Pakistan. With India and Pakistan, BlackBerry stood their ground and said, we're not going to do it. And both times the countries, it backed off. And I think that this is going to be something really big moving forward. If we just watch what's happening in the UK, where they're looking at, the Telegram apps, the WhatsApp apps, these apps that terrorists are using for their communications, and the UK government saying, we need to know this. And these companies are saying, no, you're not going to know it. I think that's a problem. And I think BlackBerry's being, fully clear on their statement that if there is a legal access need, they're willing to do their part for the safety of the citizenry. Now, some of these things have been taken out of context. About every 3 to 6 months, we're going to see, and we have seen the same article that comes forward and says, the Dutch police have hacked BlackBerries, right? They're getting the communications. Well, in that story, they weren't true BlackBerries. They were BlackBerry phones that had been altered with this pretty good encryption, right? Pretty good privacy, whatever, PGP phones. So it had something totally different on the phones that they hacked. These phones couldn't be used to make phone calls. They couldn't be used for email. They were used specifically for this one aspect. And then every 3 to 6 months, we're going to hear the story about the Canadian mobsters, where the Canadian police had the global encryption key for all of BlackBerry, and that's how they got them. It's like, no, guys, the Canadian mobsters were using pin-to-pin messaging, which both BlackBerry and the Canadian government came out and said, don't use this for private conversations, right? So we're going to keep hearing that BlackBerry has folded over for governments in the past when they haven't done that. We're going to keep hearing that authorities have a global encryption key when the global encryption key doesn't really exist, right? And hasn't existed for some time. But I am really glad to know that I'm putting my faith in a company that is looking at the safety of our society versus a company that's saying, no, let the terrorists do what they want because it works out good for my marketing.
Yeah,
So,
and I don't
it's not
think
just that.
Yeah.
You got human rights, and if you're a terrorist, you don't have human rights. You don't get the same rights that some usual from the street person will have. That because if someone will try to hack to a phone of some regular people, nobody will agree to do that. But if you're a terrorist, you're a suspect with terrorists, you can give information about future attacks. You don't get to have those rights. So if those companies are not helping the government, no matter in which country, I think they are terrorist helpers. And,
I agree.
And the government should sanction those companies. It's very clear.
I agree. I completely agree. Roy, Brother Neil says you look good and Astro's orange. Just want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate your affection.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole situation is, you know, the reason why I didn't really talk about it last night because it's a kind of a, and I don't like talking politics on podcasts or Twitter or anything like that, but he's up again.
No, you just went quiet because you were still moving, but no sound was coming out. It was
yeah, it's happening again. But anyways, I kind of try to steer away from this content because last night, because politics, and I don't like bringing politics into anything. Where UTB Brad loves bringing politics into everything.
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't do it
know.
publicly because I have a feeling a lot of what I say would ensure that nobody ever came and read UTB again. Yeah. But when it comes down to what I keep calling the great encryption debate, this is not and should not be a party issue. It shouldn't be Democrats versus Republicans, Hillary versus Trump. It should have nothing to do with that. It's a conversation that we need to have, especially those of us that are involved or paying attention to tech, because I think there is a huge problem with companies holding themselves up on this platform, right? Saying, look how great we are, look how we're caring about your security, when they're not caring about if what they're doing will result in the deaths of people. You know, there's a certain thing.
And like you said earlier, it's not like BlackBerry saying, hey, we have the key right here.
Right.
It's the key, or we're going to give the key to the governments. They don't have the key. They don't know how to unencrypt your stuff right now. They haven't tried, which is, you know, to me, it's a good situation. They haven't tried. Apple didn't want to put out the software that was going to unlock that device. Could they do so? Sure. I'm sure they could. It's their software. I don't doubt them being able to do so whatsoever, but they're not going to do so. And you know, they made it a whole stink because of the fact that it was going to make Apple look better, right? BlackBerry's doing it because, hey, we want to help save and protect people. And to your company's image, which one do you want to go with? You know, that's you know, the side you're kind of looking at as.
I made sure, and it was just perfect timing on the post I wrote, because we know that Facebook, we know that Apple has said, no, we're not going to help these people, right? We've heard of different stories. During the encryption debate, I posted a few of them, of where they were trying to get into the victim of a murderer's phone, with the family wanting them to get into the phone so that they could get who came and murdered this woman while her child slept in a back room, and Apple wouldn't do it, right? There's there's numerous cases like that. And it just so happened that as I was writing that post, I got this change.org email saying, hey, come sign this petition. And what it was is there is a hitchhiker that went to South America and is missing. We don't know, nobody knows what's happened to him as of the time of me writing that post. And he had electronic devices. He had Apple devices. He had T-Mobile service. He had Amazon Kindle. And none of the companies would provide information to this person's family so that they could help try and find this person. And there is a change.org petition. And I guarantee you, I don't know the whole story. I know what was on the change.org petition, and I know what was there when I went to go look at it when I was writing my post. But I guarantee you those companies, it was all about, oh, well, we don't want to, we don't want to break our encryption. We don't want to say that we can get in and get people's information. This is private information, right? Well, the change.org petition got all of its signatures that it needed very quickly. And very quickly, once this started becoming, all three of those companies decided to help. So, I mean, just imagine if they had really put not just their marketing on a pedestal, but the idea that they might be saving somebody's life by getting this information out, right? This is the problem that I have.
They don't care. They don't care about lives of people. They care about their names and money.
Their profits.
Yeah.
Their image, their name. Like Leroy said it. Their image, their name, their profit, what they're going to make, whatever.
But so many people are so concerned that their little, messages to their friends or to their girlfriends or to their, they don't want their wives finding out about their messages to their girlfriend, whatever it is, they want to keep their stuff private. And it's like, you know what, if you're not doing something illegal, that's not going to happen, right? We know that there's been spying before. The whole Edward Snowden thing, we know that people are always watching. I get it. But I'm sorry, having Apple say that they're not going to crack their encryption isn't going to save you from being spied on. It's not. If you've got, Roy's government wanting to spy on you, Roy's government is a lot smarter than Apple, and they're going to do it.
Yeah. You use credit cards. You pay for gas or pay bill. The government knows everything, if we want or not.
Yep, they all know about it.
My guess is the FBI knows everything about almost every citizen of the USA. So
I don't put a lot of faith in the FBI right now, but
that's a different topic for a different podcast.
Yeah. Brad, we should do another podcast about this.
Yeah. The UTB Blogcast political podcast will be coming in the near future.
Well, we have one blogger that really wants to have UTB politics, and everybody else wants to ensure that he never gets an opportunity to have UTB politics.
Well, you should put him on his own podcast in his own version of YouTube.
Without the UTB name on it.
Yes. Hey, can we go back to the motion real quick?
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier how you're more of a keyboard person, right? And yeah. I know since been using the Key One, for this past year now. I'm back onto my keyboard position as well. I love my keyboard. I've always really never went away from a keyboard, but I do carry around 2 devices with me per day, and it's usually a Key One, and it's a the Priv or the Z30 for my BlackBerry 10 usage, and it's going to be really interesting to see which one I go with, because the physical keyboard is great because it gives you that tactile typing experience, right? But the virtual keyboard on BlackBerry devices, BlackBerry Android devices for that matter, actually are pretty good. they're the best virtual keyboard that I've ever used.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how that works. You got that 5.5 inch display. A lot of people are kind of mentioning that this is the, not really the D-Tech upgrade. It's more of a plateau or the sister or brother of the Z30, which is a very interesting concept. So, it'd be very interesting to see how people who are using the Key One, if they go with the Motion as well, which one they prefer more, because they're essentially the same phone with, you have the water resistance, and no keyboard or keyboard. So I'm very interested to see how I personally will kind of gravitate between the two of them. If it's going to be one of those things where I'll use the Motion for a couple of days and then go right back to my Key One, or if I'll get stuck on the Motion.
I just know I'm going to go back to the physical keyboard. You know what I mean? It's happened to me every single time, because there's been times I've carried with me touchscreen phones and keyboard phones, and I've always gone back to the keyboard phone. Even when my keyboard phone or physical keyboard phone was the Q5. I ended up using the Q5 more than a much better full screen touchscreen phone just because of those keys. And even with my Priv, I was like 90-some% physical keyboard. So I mean I keep reading these articles of people, keyboards are for, they're old. BlackBerry's still putting out a keyboard when nobody cares about them anymore. It's like, I'm sorry. I know I'm not unique. I've been told that my entire life. I'm not special, right? So I know there's a lot of people out there that like physical keyboards as much as me.
Oh, I love physical keyboards. I'm just, when I had my Priv,
that was a really bad point to go silent.
Yeah. But if you look on the media, you will see that every time BlackBerry or BlackBerry Mobile releases a keyboard device, you will see headlines like BlackBerry are returning to keyboard. And when they release a touch device, you will always see BlackBerry ditch the keyboard device.
Yep.
But it's keyboard devices and touch devices for 3-4 years since BlackBerry 10.
Yeah, they can't get it through their heads that BlackBerry is actually producing both. You can't possibly do that.
Which has always been the weird thing, because BlackBerry has always been a device of choice, right? They always give you options. They always give you that, ever since they've had both concepts of devices, touchscreen or the Torch, or if you go back to the Storm days. And then option device, slide a keyboard. Do you want to?
Yeah, we lost.
Next time, take it from the road.
What road?
I don't know. When you stuck around better when you were on the podcast from the road.
Yeah. Well, I'm also competing with.
It might be a sign to end this podcast.
I think it is. All right, folks, let's end it. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll see what's going on. Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. UTB Blogcast number 105.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.